In the world of housing, there's other opportunities, federal and state dollars that can flow into this. How do you see those engaging with the CDC? I'm thinking like LIHTC or CDBG or other programs like that. Can
Yeah,
CDCs leverage in that space?
absolutely. I think now the low income housing tax credit,
Mhm.
LIHTC, is
Right.
probably a little sophisticated for a startup CDC, but certainly the community development block grant funding, which is from HUD, which goes to the municipality or to
Hmm.
the city, you're certainly eligible for those funds. And those community development partners in those municipalities are always looking for community development corporations that can execute the mission, and the city and the municipality will fund that with community development block grant funding.
So it sounds like there's players in this space that really are looking to deploy capital, either on the
Yes.
municipal level or at the
Yes.
foundational level.
Yes.
But it's really kind of this institutional track record, or what would you say as far as the like reliability of a CDC to effectively and responsibly deploy capital? How important is that to seeking more
It's
funding?
it's it's critically important. I think you hit the nail on the head. It's the track record.
Yeah,
Can you execute on what you're saying you're going to execute on? It's the organizational basics. It's the financial readiness. It's your housing development experience. Can you put all that together and pull all that together to do what your mission is saying it's doing in a timely way, executing it properly within the rules and regulations and compliance of those funds? Because they all come with strings on them.
sure.
But if you can execute on those, there are more dollars behind that can
Yeah.
come. Yes.
Do you think it has to be large programs? I hear in the industry terms like critical repair, helping elderly stay in homes, weatherization programs like that. Is that a good place for CDCs to
That's
kind
a
of
that's
interface?
that's a great question, Matt. And I think community development corporations that are in their first 1 to 3 years really should look at that avenue. Critical repair programs are something that are very important to the cities. They want to get those properties back on the tax rolls so it can get money for the city. It also improves the neighborhood. It brings people back to the communities and it eliminates blight. And so working with your local municipality to do critical repair funding is really positive for your organization. It shows that you can execute. It shows the funders you can execute. It shows the city you can execute. It lets the neighborhood know you're making a impact in that community. It's a win-win-win across the board.
Yeah. I want to back up a little bit and talk the planning aspect of this. Kind of the missional direction of a CDC or a nonprofit. How things like housing construction, critical repair, even social services, rent subsidies or food banks or
Hmm.
something like
Hmm.
that play in. Um, can you talk a little bit about the importance of like a guiding document or a community development plan for these organizations and how
Yes.
that all overlaps with attracting funding and other aspects of that?
Yeah, I think that's part of when I mentioned your mission statement and some of the other things. One of the things you must have as a CDC is you have to have a community vision. You have to have a plan. You have to have a way to engage the community and all of the partners in there to make that happen. And some communities I worked in had framework plans
Hmm.
where the municipality funded those plans, and they were, most of the time, they were just sitting on the table. If you as an organization take that plan and make it live, you already have a path forward. It shows you a plan. It gives you steps. Um, and funders see if your ability to execute on that plan and you can do that, you will begin to receive
Yeah,
more funding.
yeah, yeah. Um, what are some components that make up that plan? Can we talk a little bit about that? Because one thing I think is remarkably challenging in a lot of these communities is how do you get access to dirt? How do you get lots? We see the blighted property, but it's so convoluted process of how do we get to that? So if I were to develop a community development plan for my CDC, just talk a little bit about what some of those components might be in that plan.
Yeah, it literally gets down to infrastructure. Do you have the utility that you need in the ground to build housing? That's very important to the cost of what it could be. Have you done a needs assessment? Do you really know what the problems are, and who and how you could tackle those problems? Um, I mentioned earlier the framework plan. A lot of cities do assessments of each neighborhood because they have to secure HUD funding. If you as a CDC can get your hands on your community part of that plan, understand it, read it, it'll tell you the players, who's involved, and really engage in that plan. That's a way to jumpstart your organization, and it's also a way to receive funding.